Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We are so excited to have you with us talking about 2025 budget planning. Chris and I were just talking about how 2025 is really sneaking up on all of us, but it is truly important to start planning now rather than next year, right? We always want to be looking ahead. That is the best way to prepare ourselves. And we're going to be talking about what you should be budgeting for, some new pieces of technology that can really transform your rental business. And, Chris is going to go over some of those examples and give you some case studies as well. For those of you who don't know Chris yet, she's the Executive Vice President of
Actually, I'm
SK.
I'm Chief Strategy
Chief
Officer.
Strategy Officer. Oh my goodness. Sorry for the mix up there.
That's okay.
Chief Strategy Officer with SKBM Smart Technology. She brings prop tech to the multifamily industry. Previously, she served as the Senior Director of Smart Building Technology for Greystar. Some of you might have heard of that company. And she's really helped them to streamline their technology and improve tenant satisfaction in the process. She also worked with CBRE as the Global Technology Solutions Director there, also focused on technology, particularly building cellular solutions and building a program to provide connectivity solutions to properties across the US. So CBRE is obviously that's for commercial properties. And today, she works with SKBM and really with multifamily and any kind of rental owners of all sizes. And so, she's coming from these larger companies, but now helping to, implement some of these pieces of technology and making them available really to all kinds of landlords. And so that's why we have her here with us today as our resident expert. So a couple of things before I hand it off to her. We are recording this entire webinar, and so you're going to get it tomorrow. And we'll also be having a Q&A. So if you have questions, you can put them in the question box, preferably not the chat, but I'll take a look there too if I need to. And we'll send you the slides tomorrow and Chris's information if you do want a consultation to find out which tech is best for you. She will be offering that as well. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint slides and hand it off to Chris to get started. All right, Chris, all yours.
Thank you, Alexandra. Good morning. I am so excited to be here because this group is near and dear to my heart. It's actually one of the reasons that I wanted to work with SKBM Technology is because this is the market that they are targeting. And so, especially, I was at a show earlier this year with small to mid market multifamily owner operators. And this one couple, the guy was like, he's like, I self manage, I'm pulling my hair out, I've deployed all this tech, it's making it worse, not better. And none of the tech companies will talk to me because I'm too small. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's a need. So that's what I'm here to talk about today is, I understand, well, thankfully the Fed did cut rates yesterday, which is awesome, and they went all in. But I understand that this group does have there are budget constraints and things like that. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was a little bit about what SKBM does and how we can help you. And then I've been looking at a lot of new tech, and I'm looking at tech that is specifically aimed at the mid market in multifamily. And so I want to share with you kind of high level some technologies that I think you might want to consider in 2025 if you're thinking of dipping your toe into prop tech. And when I say prop tech, I don't just mean the hardware. I don't just mean unit locks and smart thermostats and things like that. Access controls. I also mean the software there are software solutions out there that are relatively inexpensive that can make a huge difference without a big spend. And so if you're looking at dipping your toe into the market in 2025, I'd love to tell you about some of the I will be telling you about some of the solutions that I've run across recently, and it's a partial list. But yeah, if we got poll questions up here, I would love to know the answers.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So let's talk about that first. We want to know where you guys are at. You're obviously here, so you have some interest in budgeting and technology, but are you ready? Do you know how to kickstart that future ready prop tech strategy in 2025 and beyond? And do you believe that this could redefine your brand in 2025? Um, I think it's sometimes something we think about kind of after the fact, but it can definitely be a critical part of your strategy if you are looking to really be competitive in your rental market and get the most out of your rentals. Sometimes it's not about having the most number of units, but having the most ROI. And
yes.
maybe even having fewer units could be better in some cases. Yeah. Um, if
Well,
you
and
do
I
it
think,
right.
yeah, and you'll notice that it says future ready and not future proof.
Yes.
I don't believe in the term future proof. I'm happy to tell you more about why. I think the closest thing that comes to future proof is fiber, because I don't think we're seeing fiber go away for a very long time. So that's why I never use future proof if I can avoid it. And I have been doing, the second question is because I've been doing a lot of thinking around prop tech as part of brand. I've done a bunch of consulting for technology firms in the multifamily space and also in commercial. And I did do actually multifamily tech at CBRE. We did for a very large client technology strategy for about 100 of their multifamily properties. So I go back a bit with the prop tech, but thinking about how to incorporate, and there are a couple of companies out there that can help with this, but how do you redefine or just define your brand? Because these prop tech companies are like, oh, we had these projects and they went fabulous, and the tenants are happy and the owners are happy. And then I go to the website for the property and there are 0 words about the technology they just spent $500,000 on. And I'm like, that's got to change. So I've been having some conversations with a couple of companies who market, help with marketing for properties about this, around this brand technology as part of the brand. And if you think about the chatter among some of the larger players in the space, like Graystar, there's, chatter about, multifamily moving towards a hospitality model. And it kind of makes me laugh because it kind of makes me laugh because I'm like, if you talk to Marriott or Hilton or Hyatt, like they have a tech stack for each of their brands and they're very specific about it, right? That's an incredibly, like, it's not always the best technology. For instance, the hotel I'm currently sitting in Vegas has extremely poor connectivity, so I hope I don't lose you. But which I've already been contacting everybody I know, going, please somebody fix this. Um, but yeah, I think, as we move towards the future, that I think there is, at some point, it's not going to be tomorrow or 2026 or 2027, but, certain aspects of prop tech are going to become table stakes in multifamily. And just how do you start now and not do it all at once, right? Be strategic, not tactical. Think about what think about what your long-term goal is, your real estate goal, not your technology goal. What's your long-term goal for your properties, for your brand? And then we can work backwards from that, right? Okay, so we've got the poll results and I'm going to put on my keep readers. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people need help with kickstarting a future ready prop tech strategy. Love to talk through that with you. And I do it's all, we do consultation. It is all free. We do not charge for our consultation. So if anybody wants to talk to me, just chat. Like, you can just say, get on the phone and say, hey, I don't want you to sell me anything today. I just want to talk through my issues. Fine. I love it. I'm a talker. You'll know that you probably already know that already. Um, what is prop tech? Well, that's a loaded question, Alexandra, actually, because it can be many different things. And if you talk to 100 different people about what it is, um, you're going to get 100 different answers. But in general, prop tech is technology that helps run a property more efficiently. more, provides a better experience for tenants, provides a better experience for the on-site staff. We all know that staff churn is a huge problem in multifamily. um, and it makes it, and it's technology that helps you meet your real estate goals, right? So if you're trying to, everybody wants to increase the value of their property, of course. There is technology, both hardware and software, that can enable that. So Proptech is really about enabling, in my opinion, is technology that enables real estate goals.
Great. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing the poll here and we'll move back to the presentation,
Yeah,
but
and if you want to
well
go to the
said.
next slide,
Mhm.
I'll give a quick overview of what we do.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're SKBM Smart Technology, and so we were established. So SKBM, first of all, everybody always asks, what does that stand for? It's Scott Keen and Bill Myers. There are two co-founders. They are amazing people. If anybody ever wants to talk to them, they're open door. What our COO, Bill Myers, doesn't know about access controls and building security, like, doesn't exist. He's just amazing. And he's just such a nice guy. So if anybody ever wants to talk nuts and bolts, if you have a tech team or a maintenance team or whoever that wants to talk about that, he is always available. I don't think he sleeps. We've actually installed more than 450,000 units of smart home, all with our own in-house installation techs. We've got over 200 technicians across the country. We have legitimately done all lower 48 states and DC, except for possibly South Dakota. We've done North Dakota. We know we're looking into South Dakota, but it's all our own people. They've all been with us 10 to 15 years. This is the reason I wanted to work with Scott and Bill, is sitting at Graystar. In particular, deployment of smart technology is a huge problem. Like, you get two guys with a truck and they don't know how to pair the devices. They don't know how to deal with, tenants who are very sensitive to people being in their homes. All of that kind of thing. We've been doing that since 2018 with the same guys, our crews. They're really, really good at it now. We've also installed over 2,000 properties of access controls. So traditionally, SKBM, yeah, has been an construction company. They're a certified GC, and they started out building big construction projects. Like, they built hotels for Disney. Then they moved into single family rehabs. And then in 2018, they moved into Proptech for multifamily. So I was brought in late last year to rebrand us into a one-stop Proptech shop. So I have put numerous strategic partnerships in place with technology companies for multifamily. So we are vendor agnostic to a certain extent, which means, yes, I have strategic partners so I can meet budget and use cases and strategic goals, across the spectrum of multifamily. But I won't sell just anything, right? We won't do that. So we're working with best in class brands that do have these, you know, they operate in different tiers. So we make sure that we really can be a one-stop shop. And so, yeah, we have, and I'm actually at a show right now, actively putting more strategic partnerships in place. The hardware solutions, I think we're pretty much there on. There are some new software solutions though. I know everybody wants to talk about AI, and so I can't help myself, but some new AI enabled software platforms for multifamily that are amazing. Um, Alexandra, are we leaving? I see a couple of questions that popped up. Do you want me to take those now? Or?
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Let's keep it going if you're okay with taking a
Yeah,
pause here.
you can just. That was my elevator pitch on SKBM. So somebody asked fiber wireless mid-band frequencies from 1 gigahertz to 6 gigahertz, such as Wi-Fi or some 5G products. I got it all. We're working with LoRaWAN. We are working with Vulcan managed Wi-Fi. I actually am a subject matter expert on in-building cellular. Like Alexandra mentioned, that's how I started. My first role with CBRE was building a DAS program for them. I get pitched 5G. Well, technically it's not really 5G, it's 4G, but I get pitched 5G for multifamily all the time, and private LTE on the CBRS band. And so, or bands. And so, yeah, my, we work with it all. And the reason that I do that is because the connectivity has to be in place first, right? For a lot of these solutions, if you're going to get something that is cross functional, where you're not having to look at 18 different apps and all of this kind of stuff, and you know that those hubs, the smart home hubs, or whatever else device you have is going to stay online, you have to put the connectivity in place first. And I have been preaching that for 10 years now. Um, and so, yeah, there are a lot of options out there. Full blown 5G DAS in multifamily is not cost effective, but there are other less expensive solutions out there that are cellular enabled. And I think my opinion on cellular in multifamily, given my experience at Greystar and CBRE, is that it's got a very specific use case. And I was just talking to somebody with a very large multifamily owner operator recently. And what they said to me is, we're getting, they were asking me about DAS for multifamily. And I said, listen, 2 years at Greystar, I got one request for a DAS. And they're like, yeah, we're getting complaints from tenants. So you can do managed Wi-Fi, enable Wi-Fi calling. That will help with it. I do see a use if you're getting complaints for tenants from tenants about cellular, and I have ways to either remotely or on site test cell signal for all three major carriers. If you really want Dish, I can do that too. But all three major carriers, and tell you in reality what that cell signal looks like in your building.
Mm.
I can, I actually, I have a strategic partnership with a company that has all of that data, like billions of data points that already have that mapped. So yes, anything in terms of connectivity, near and dear to my heart. We do somebody asked Schleg, remote lock, ring. Um, we do Schleg. We do Yale. We do Dormacaba. We do any of the smart locks we've installed. And if you want to talk to, like I said, our COO about that, he can tell you all the ins and outs of the specific locks. We do have a relationship with Remote Lock. We also have a relationship with GeoKey, Butterfly MX, um, Chamberlain LiftMaster, and I know I'm missing one there. But yes, we do work with I'd love to discuss remote lock with you. But we do work with best in class security access control providers, and that includes the perimeter access, the unit doors. If you want security cameras, all of that we combine into one system. We're actually doing that for a client right now. And then that client, actually, we're doing access controls. They said, no, I'm gonna add security cameras, and we're like, fine. So we did that. And then they're like, but you have to make sure that it integrates with the locks, with the unit locks, because I'm doing that in 2025. Actually, I've got two clients right now that we're doing that for. And so it's, again, being strategic, thinking long term, and we stick with you. We want to be your strategic partner, right? We don't want to sell you something and then walk away. We provide a lot of ongoing training and support. And when we install, we do all that community we do all the communication with the on-site staff and the tenants. So I will move on. Um yeah, so Alexandra, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so budgeting steps. This is the big question, right? And I think that, I'm sure you guys get pitched a lot on technology, and I watched this happen over and over again at Greystar and CBRE. I really do. If you don't have somebody on staff who is really familiar with what the tech enables, right, and how to do the change management to make sure that it actually gets used, I really recommend reaching out to an advisor. And if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I've got other people I can refer you to, particularly like if you just want to do managed Wi-Fi. I've got strategic partnerships with a couple of companies where they're exclusive Proptech providers, with three actually. So if you want to do bulk or managed Wi-Fi this year, And then next year you want to add Proptech. Like I've got those strategic partnerships in place, but it's really important to sit down with all of your stakeholders, including your on-site staff, including, your maintenance staff, your leasing agents, and then also your asset managers, but to get an overall idea of where the pain points are, right? Because you want to outline your goals. Because the problem is, it's like a couple of years ago, everybody kept coming to me wanting biometric readers for their front door, and I'm like, why? I'm like, yes, it's really cool. It's really cool that you can walk up to a door and with your face unlock it. That's awesomeness. And I'm not saying we won't get to that point, but today and for the next 5 years, that's not going to be a widely deployed technology. So let's really think about what use cases you're trying to enable, what your long-term goals are, right? For the property, for the portfolio. What are those real estate goals? Let's put those down on paper. And that's always our first call with you, right? Is we always discuss real estate on the first call. Um, because we want to be a good advisor, right? We need to understand your needs. We need to be good listeners. Um, I had somebody show me a pitch the other day, and one of the things they said to me, which I thought was a really good question, is he was doing the pitch as if I were a prospective client, and he said, "What's preventing you from reaching your goals?" Right? And so I think that's an awesome question. And I think that that is one that you have to determine on the beginning is what is preventing you from meeting your goals? What is the obstacle? Is it, what are the obstacles? Is it money? Is it, you don't feel you're in a market where technology is prevalent? Is it, and you're not sure if you want to be bleeding edge or leading edge or kind of towards the center. So like you really need to detail the obstacles that you're trying to overcome with your hard-earned dollars, right? So we all know this business really well, and a dollar's a dollar, right? So if you're going to spend that dollar, you should really know what you're going to get for it. I will and then you need to define your use cases, and this is in particular is where I think you need to bring in an advisor, because again, there's a lot of tech out there. Unless you know in rather fine-grained detail what your use cases are, you're likely going to end up with one, a very disparate solution. Again, a lot of apps or a lot of platforms that don't integrate. But the other is you're going to end up with technology that doesn't actually solve for what your problem is or what you're trying to accomplish. So you really need to be very specific on what use cases you're trying to enable. And again, you need to think about that over time. So in 2024, I want to solve for the fact that I have had 100 leaks in the past year that have caused $2 million worth of damage. Okay, let's do that. That's a good use case, right? I can probably get you, we work with companies, I can probably get you a discount on your insurance when at renewal if you do that. Um, but you need to know what that use case is, right? If you're trying to solve for something else, that use case also enables, for instance, like streamlining maintenance. That could streamline maintenance requests. If you have leak detectors that are wirelessly connected, you can catch those leaks sooner. Things like that. Like, what actually are you trying to enable? And then you need to determine the ROM. And that's where we definitely come in. Like I said, our first conversation with any prospective client is listening and asking questions about real estate goals, right? Or maybe you have technology goals too, but like we want to understand the broader context. And then we will circle up internally um, and say, okay, given this situation, given this budget, what they're trying to enable, what their long-term strategy is, here are the solutions we recommend, and we'll get you ROM on that quickly. Um, at that point, and I think this is one of the things that sets us apart, I can actually run you a 3-page report accurate to within plus or minus 10% based on 5 years worth of data that's going to tell you where you're going to see your ROI. And I'm not talking about just a $30 tech amenity fee, if that's even, part of the solution, and where your impacts to NOI are going to be. And it's in writing, plus or minus 10%. And they have the data to back that up too. Because I actually asked the partner who I'm actually here with in Vegas. I was like, "Are you sure you want that in writing?" All day long, because I have the data to back it up. So uh, we get you to that ROM. You can look at the numbers and say, okay, well, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. Or can we do this for a lesser cost, or whatever. We'll work through that with you, and then we work with our Proptech, our strategic partners, to bring that solution together. You get one contract, it's from us, we're one throat to choke, um, and we stick with you over time. So that's but in terms of budgeting, this is what you need to do: outline your goals, detail your obstacles, define your use cases, and then look at the dollars and cents, right? To see, to really think strategically about what you're trying to accomplish. And so as part of this today, I want to help you think about use cases and think about, like, uh, a couple of things that come to mind are risk management, which, depending on what market you're in, and the details of the submarket, like, or the details of your property, like, risk management can be fairly inexpensive to implement and can have a huge impact. Well, one, on, not huge, but an impact on your insurance premiums, but also on just the security of the building. Like, you don't want people off the street. Like, there's two aspects to access controls, and one of them is keeping the wrong people out, and we definitely want to do that, and the other is getting the right people in, right? So I don't know about anybody else on this call, but I have a more than minor addiction to Uber Eats. If I were living in an apartment building and I had to go downstairs to let the guy in every time, I think that would make me not the happiest tenant. But again, depends on the market and things like that. So, Alexander, if you want to move on to the next slide. And I promise I'm not going to slide you to death. I've got like two more. Um, yeah, so why use an advisor? And I think I've talked a lot about this already, but and I just need to move this so I can see. One, you really should plan for more than 1 year. That is, you should be thinking longer term. And I'm not saying you have to think 10 years out, because in 10 years the technology is all going to be different. But the next 3 to 5 years, um, a lot of a lot of what one of our main goals is to provide Proptech, one that brings value to you, right? Not tech for tech's sake. And the other thing is to help you be strategic and help you plan over time, for what you're trying to accomplish, and to make you not only future ready, but I would say, in terms of technology. And I know this is a huge fear. Everybody's like, what if I put in this year, and what if next year something better comes out? I'm keeping an eye on all of that. I have conversations day in and day out. It's like the whole conversation, for example, around Wi-Fi 6 versus Wi-Fi 7, whether I should be advising clients today, if they're looking at, say, managed Wi-Fi, whether they should be putting in Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7 capabilities. There are solutions out there that you can flip on Wi-Fi 7 when it becomes, but there's just not enough penetration now, and it's not going to happen next year. It's probably going to be 2026, but Wi-Fi 7 is not, in the short term, going to Wi-Fi 7 is not going to replace Wi-Fi 6. So there's, it's things like that that we try to make you future resilient, and future flexible. And so that's one of the things that, you bring an advisor in like SKBM that they can help you with, right? Because that's what we do for a living, right? We keep track of all of these things. Using the data to validate ROI and impacts to NOI. I talked about that. We have a strategic partner. Again, that takes me 5 minutes to do. It's AI enabled technology with 5 years worth of data, and it's I think a game changer. Um, Very much believe in it, and it's been hugely successful for us so far. Be strategic and not tactical. That, like I said, will help you think long term. Um, we have solutions to help you streamline the decision making process. One is that ROI and NOI impact tool. I also have, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but when you see it, I promise you, I have been betting people steak dinners that when they see this, their mind will be blown. I have shown it to 20 people, including one owner operator who had so many use cases. I had to kick him off the phone finally after an hour and a half. I'm like, Jay, I got other calls. I gotta go. Um, they can help you visualize all of this in 3D. It's a communication tool. It is super inexpensive. Um, it's the kind of thing that it's hard with technology, right? If you're not a technologist, to what am I paying for? What is it going to enable? Is this actually where I want that security camera? Oh, wait a minute, I've got another door. I got to have one there. Like all of this can be done interactively in real time, and you don't need an engineer or a CAD designer. Like everybody on this call can work with this tool. And I cannot say it's the best thing I've seen in 10 years. Easily. Easily. Um, and then again, consider the connectivity. Um, we've got some technologies running off of cellular. Like I said, I'm a in-building cellular subject matter expert. So I'm really sensitive to using cellular to connect things like hubs. Um, there are other connectivity solutions out there. If anybody is going to be at Optech the day before the show starts, they're doing workshops. I'm doing one on connectivity. Encourage you. We're going to have owner operators in the room talking about their experiences. I encourage everybody to, if you're going to Optech, to look. It's called Smart Living, and it's on the 20th at 2 Eastern. Um, it's going to be it's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be you're going to really like it. And then look at the big picture, not just the dollars. Um, it's hard. I mean, we fully understand that a lot of times it does come to the down to the dollars, but there are times where like let's just say a buck more a month per unit, which again, a dollar is a dollar, but where that buck more a unit per month is going to make you much more future flexible and is going to provide a better experience day one. And I'm not, and so generally that's the kind of solutions we work with. And we'll, if you have a tight budget, we'll put a very good budget conscious solution in front of you. But we also will talk to you about, okay, if you do another dollar, here's the difference. But maybe you don't need that, right? Maybe that is for you, tech for tech's sake, and you don't need to spend that extra dollar. Well, that's where we want to help you, right? If we want to help you make the best decisions for your business. Okay, Alexandra. And that is, see, I swore I wouldn't slide you to death. 34 minutes worth of slides. Yeah, so I do want to, my finale here, and then we'll go to Q&A, is I did want to run through some of my, I'm calling them quick hits. Some technologies I've come across that are targeted, either targeted specifically for small to mid-market multifamily owner operators, or just by happenstance are a very good fit for what you all do, right? And so and I will say about AI, if you guys follow me on LinkedIn, I know everybody's there's this fear around AI. I did a post a couple of weeks ago with a very dated reference, but I'm old, so it's fine. Nobody should be afraid of AI. It's not here to make it so you can, I mean, if you want to centralize or you want to have unmanned properties, I can make that happen for you. But it's not the purpose of AI. And AI does enable that. But generally, what we're trying to accomplish with AI is like, let's make people's lives easier. Let's take those repetitive tasks, those things that can be handled by a machine, off their plate so that your on-site staff can focus on what they're really good at, right? And having that human connection with prospective tenants, right? And running the property and running the business. Let's let them do that, and let's keep them around longer, right? Let's make them happier in their jobs, and let's make your tenants' lives easier by using AI to enable some use cases for them and make their experience better and hopefully keep them around longer. So, staff retention, tenant retention, making the building more efficient, saving you some dollars. Like there's a whole bunch we can do with AI that is not, the Terminator coming to get you. So, yeah. So here are some of my quick hits, and I'll show a video at the very end. So one kind of broader category of quick hit, I think, is around risk management. We are finally seeing, like I said, premium discounts at renewal for deploying things like leak detectors and fire suppression, that I've got a specific example for, not like, if you have to have sprinklers by code. Um, but yeah, so under that risk management, what I would call our bundle, and you don't have to do this all today, but one is access controls, securing the building, right? That those are dollars well spent. It's not going to have, like, the ROI on access controls is not going to be a tech amenity fee. It's going to be, actually, it's just securing your building, right? And we can show you some scenarios around ROI. But securing the building, depending on what market you're in, like we're working with a client right now in Atlanta who just purchased a property, and they're like, we need access controls and security cameras yesterday. We have got people wandering in and out of the building. Things are getting vandalized.
Oh.
Yeah, no. So there is a real need for access controls, and you want to just make sure that if you're going to install them today, like our other clients, and next year you want to do unit locks or something like that, that you're starting with a system that next year you can expand. And so we're very focused on that, making sure that what works today is going to work for you tomorrow. Second is leak detectors. Highly recommend. If you just want to do leak detectors, I have got 3 solutions that are connected by LoRaWAN. Gateways are about $300. You don't need that many per property. We can put leak detectors in. The big complaint about leak detectors traditionally, and still to this day, has been they alarm too much. I've got solutions that solve for that. So they are, I'm thinking particularly one that's just moving into the US out of Europe. They're huge in Europe. They have got the form factor is different. It's like a tape. It's not a puck or a little rectangle or anything. And so it can be put pretty much anywhere. And it's got a series of circuits. And the water has to hit a certain, depending on where the provider sets it for on your behalf, it has to hit a certain number of circuits before it's actually going to alarm. So leak detectors, actually, Alexandra, I said I was going to show it at the end, but I'm going to show it right now because it's one of my favorite new things. Can you just unshare for a second, and
Yep,
I'm
it's all
sorry. I'm
yours. No
sorry.
worries.
I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know how many of you have seen this before. Well, let's see if I can get over here. Let me put this full screen. This is like a minute long video.
Okay, it's not shared though, so go ahead
Oh,
and
it's
click
not shared.
share first.
I
Yeah,
did.
and then
I
we'll
did.
we'll
It
be able to
didn't
see
go.
it.
See, this is
No.
what happens when technology people get
We
on the phone.
practiced this, guys, I promise.
I did. I just practiced it like half an hour, 45 minutes ago. Share screen. Click.
Make sure you click to share the sound and then
Yeah, I've
it
got it
should
all
work.
clicked. Oh, there we go. Well,
There it is.
I clicked the,
Okay,
sorry.
awesome. This is
Okay.
pretty cool, guys. She showed it to me earlier.
Okay. I think that's that. Okay. We can go back to your screen, Alexandra.
All right. Let's
So that is a technology called, as you could see, called Firebot. Um, and it's wirelessly connected. Again, it's LoRaWAN. They are working on a Wi-Fi version. It is relatively inexpensive. The install is super easy. Um, uh, the install is super easy, and it does it right there. That fire suppressant that's in that unit that goes under the microwave or under the hood or whatever, puts out any kind of fire. That was an oil fire. So it puts out any kind of fire, notifies everyone automatically. And so over, I think it's like about 50% or maybe even over 50% of multifamily fires are caused by stove fires. And this not only detects them, like there's technology out there, and I know the companies that detect the fires, this puts it out. And you saw how quick it does it. And so in terms of risk management, that's a that one is a big one for me. Um, Other things I've seen recently, again, that are I don't use the word cheap, but they are inexpensive, is one, the 3D visualization, two, the ROI, NOI, technology impact analysis is on us. Um, there's I saw this actually here. It's AI enabled on-site and remote communications. And so it uses AI um, to simplify communications between the on-site team, the tenants, between the on-site team and the asset managers. All of that comes into one AI enabled system and makes it so you can push things like trainings you to people. You upload a whole list of documents. If you have remote assistant community manager, say, you can have all of your protocols in there for your property, and the AI will enable them to find it in a nanosecond, right? And so they can effectively communicate with your tenants or with your on-site staff and say, okay, I mean, this is a silly example, but our monthly pet fee is $35. If they forget that, they can find that answer quickly because it's all you train the AI very rapidly, and it just makes all of these communications easier. If you have even if you have leasing agents sitting on site and they need to know things quickly, and then it's really a remarkable piece of technology. um Ongoing training, there's AI, and so as I said, you turn property staff a lot, you turn tenants, right? Hopefully we can reduce both of those things, but it does happen. And so you're constantly needing this ongoing training. And one of the things I was talking to some real estate folks about recently was like, we don't like to rely on the training from the vendor. We want our own custom training for our property or our portfolio. Well, there's a company that assists with that, right? And they'll customize all the training and they'll host it, and it's like LMS Lite, right? It's an inexpensive way to make sure, because if you pay the money for the technology and you don't have the ongoing training, so over time people just stop using it, you've just wasted a whole lot of money, and that's what we want to avoid, right? There is a technology that I'm looking at around change management. Also, a lot of feedback from owner operators saying, "Hey, listen, we love the tech, we want to deploy it, but the problem we have is the change management, right, within the organization." And so I've got a company, again, AI enabled. There's a lot of it out there, but they're finally doing smart, really good, clever things with it. And if I mean, I love Chat GPT, another one of my addictions, but like when you're talking about actually making a multifamily property more efficient, better for better tenant experience, better staff retention, all of that, like now that the AI has come around to actually solving for those real estate problems. And so there's one around change management. I just had actually met with them in person yesterday. I was with them for like an hour. I'm like, that's a huge problem. And I'm like, you're solving for it. And so, yeah, I mean, it reduces the fear here, right? Like if I'm going to put it in, and then I got to figure out how to get everybody to use it and make sure they're trained, and all that. We can, there's an AI for that. Um, oh, we get a lot of questions about EV charging, and at Graystar, this was a huge topic of discussion. There's parking as EV charging as a service out there, and we have a strategic partner that is vendor agnostic on um, EV charging and can help you through that decision, because that's a like I know enough about EV charging to be dangerous, but that's a very complex decision making process, and they make it easy. Um, there is, of course, there are multiple solutions for uh helping residents build credit and doing and building ancillary revenue for the property. And I saw somebody just use the word revenue in the chat, and I just like to say a lot of these technologies, and I should have hit on this earlier, actually drive revenue to the property, right? They're going to create ancillary income for you. Again, there are companies that help with technology as brand. I've got a very promising solution for cybersecurity as a service. um, I know that probably there aren't many people on this call that are very concerned about cybersecurity yet. Um, but it
I
is
feel
something.
like I get a spam email and spam calls like 10 times a day. It's just
Well, in
it's
like,
just a matter of
I
time.
mean, a lot of this tech sits in like AWS for instance, right? Which is
Yes,
hyper
Amazon.
secure. But
Hmm.
there are bad actors out there that are attacked. Like, what was it? Comcast and I can't remember which other cable carrier had been. They had an ongoing hack for like 4 months. Didn't even know about.
Everyone gets hacked. It's
Yeah, it's like
crazy.
Target several
Yeah.
years ago when they got all of their credit card numbers stolen. Those hackers actually went in through the HVAC system. They didn't go directly into the credit card system.
Wow.
They tunneled in through HVAC. So my concern about cybersecurity is, like, we insist that our partners be SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, which is a very high security standard, but it's not the magic bullet. And so my concern when I think about cybersecurity and prop tech are the edge devices, the hubs, the thermostats, whatever. It's I saw it in commercial. I haven't seen it in multifamily yet, but that's my fear, is that those devices are going to get hacked and then they're going to tunnel in. So, or they're going to turn an entire apartment building's thermostats up to 100 degrees, right? I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night. Um, 'cause,
Yeah, I think with any kind of technology, right, it's so important that we are looking at the security aspect as well now
yeah,
because,
yeah,
it
and I'm
can be
not here to
accessed by anyone.
yeah, and I'm not here to
Hmm.
scare you. I'm just saying it should be somewhere in your head, and I've got
Hmm.
two solutions for it that are, it's essentially an outsource CISO, right? That we can do. Centralized maintenance. I've got a piece of technology that is mind-bogglingly good. Adds a It makes it so the tenants can better communicate with the maintenance staff, makes it so the maintenance staff can do more remote solutioning. It's the guy who came up with it is Guillermo Salazar, and it's amazing. Virtual concierge, tenant experience apps that not only make the experience better for the tenant, they integrate the technologies, make it seamless, and then also they drive ancillary revenue to the property. So there are opportunities here for revenue beyond charging a tech
That's
commitment.
interesting, Chris. Could we pause on that? So you're saying these tenant experience apps can drive
They
revenue.
they have a marketplace within them,
Oh,
and it gets used because what they do. So the thing about tenant experience apps is they've got to be sticky, right? So what we like to do is work with tenant experience apps that integrate the access controls, and if you have smart unit locks, integrate that, so you have to unlock everything through the tenant experience app, because then people are going into it all the time, so they're used to opening it, right? And so they have a marketplace, and part of that revenue for that marketplace will go back to the property owner.
yeah, that's
um,
amazing. So the marketplace could be things like cable and internet, maybe,
yeah, you could
or
do cable and
moving
internet,
services,
or you could
furniture.
local businesses. We do local
Very
businesses.
cool.
Yeah, it's and that's that can be very inexpensive per month. Like, you're going to get the ROI on that is proven.
I'm
Um,
putting in a list here of what you're going through for
yeah,
us to
and
kind of keep here some track of it, because you're just saying such great recommendations. So everyone, if you want to look in the chat, I've been sort of
um,
briefing some notes on there.
bulk Wi-Fi.
Mm.
Yes, I will always say managed Wi-Fi is the top tier solution because it enables IoT. Comcast and Spectrum and the other carriers are going to follow. well, one, they lied to me to my face last year and said it would be out Q1 of this year, and it didn't happen. But they are beta testing now a solution. It's no cost to ownership. They will come in and put their new tech in, and it will enable it provides like an OT network for your property and it enables all your IoT. And that's no cost to ownership. There is a cost if you work with our strategic partner. So nobody wants to call Comcast, right? And I've told Comcast this to their face, and they're essentially like, "Yeah, we know our customer service is it stinks."
Mm.
I'm like, "Great." But nobody wants to spend an hour on the phone with Comcast. But our strategic partner will look at your existing agreements free of charge. We'll give you options, and then we'll negotiate with the carriers and negotiate. They can negotiate you out of current contracts in some cases. So, like if you have Comcast and AT&T in the building, they work so closely with the carriers that they can say go to AT&T and say, you know what, we want to roll this one to Comcast bulk across the property. And but we're going to give you one somewhere else, right? Like they have that kind of deep relationship with the carriers. Bulk Wi-Fi, and you do make $30-40 a month off of bulk Wi-Fi if you resell it, as a reseller to your tenants. And the great thing about it is they're going to help you, and we can help you do this too, is they're going to look at the market and say, okay, AT&T is in this market and they're charging $80 a month for gigabit speed. And for gigabit speed. And so we're recommending you charge 70, right? So you're going to come in below market, they're going to get gigabit speed internet, and your building looks cool. Put it on your website, make it part of your brand.
Yes.
Um,
Tell
but
people about it if you're going to
but
do it.
the new technology will enable the IoT.
Uh,
That's
Question
Yeah.
for you, Chris. What is
Mhm.
the difference between bulk Wi-Fi and managed Wi-Fi?
The easiest way to explain that is bulk is a business solution and managed is a technology solution. So
Mm,
it's the difference in the way the network is designed. So with bulk, you're going to have a modem and a router in each unit, right? And those are specific to the unit. So there's no separate network that goes throughout the property, right? So it's not, that's why it doesn't enable your IoT. It doesn't enable Wi-Fi calling across the property.
because it's
Uh,
like individual units
and
and
it's
they all
it,
have their own little
yeah. And
modem.
so
I see.
with managed, you have an access point usually on the ceiling or the wall. There is um there is a separate network for the property,
Mm,
and that separate network also enables you to Wi-Fi call all across the property. Both bulk and managed now, if you're going with the new technology, have instant on, where like your tenant walks in, or you can do it through your tenant experience app, scan a QR code, whatever, and within 2 minutes they have Wi-Fi. And I don't know about everybody else, but when I bought my house 2.5 years ago, first thing I did when I got my closing date was call AT&T for Wi-Fi. Forgot to turn on my electricity till 3 days before closing. Wi-Fi is indeed the fourth utility, and it like everybody just has to,
everybody needs it, absolutely. So I would
everybody.
say then, if I could compare it, tell me if this is a good way to say it. If it's managed Wi-Fi, similar to like when you go stay at a hotel and
Exactly.
everybody's on the same network, you're
Again,
just logging in.
again,
Yeah.
multifamily moving towards a hospitality
Yep,
model.
I see.
Right. And I do encourage really looking hard at managed Wi-Fi, not because of the Wi-Fi calling piece, because that's not coming anytime soon with the major carriers. I encourage working with our strategic partner because they do the tier one support, and there is a monthly fee for that per unit. But then they call tier one support with our partner and they get somebody on the phone right away. With managed Wi-Fi, you also we look really hard at ongoing support because again, you don't want unhappy tenants. Wi-Fi goes down, it better come back fast. Otherwise, the bad Google reviews just start, right? They just no holds barred. And so yeah, so with all of them, the ongoing support I think is really important, and that's the problem you run into with the major carriers doing managed Wi-Fi is their own ongoing support by their own admission
Yes.
is not
We've
good.
all been on those long holds.
Yeah, but I mean, you can for 2025. Beta's almost done on the new bulk technology. And like I said, you're still going to make a spread on that. It's not going to be as much with managed. I encourage you to look at managed because, like, if we do end up moving towards a hospitality model in a multifamily, or we get this tenant bill of rights, which is now up in the air, or we get laws like we have in Colorado and some other in some parts of California where you can't upcharge that much. Would you rather be paying $12 to $15 a month per unit to enable all of your IoT and your Wi-Fi calling and stuff? Or would you rather be paying $35 a month if you're going to have to roll it into rent? So there are some long-term discussions there. I mean, and you're going to make the ROI on managed Wi-Fi is really robust. So it's not a long payback period, even though it's pricey. And we do a lot of those installs. We make it really easy for people. So, anyways, those are my quick hits. And I realize we're almost out of time. Let me just check the questions real quick, Alexandra. I see.
Yeah, that's all me and the chat here. But if anyone has any other questions, go ahead and put them in the
Okay.
Q&A
Yeah.
box or the chat. I did list out all your quick hits because I just thought they were so good, and I was like, okay, we got to get this down for people to save. I kind of want to send this to everyone
Well,
in the email tomorrow because it's just such a good,
well,
you
thank
know,
you. But like the thing is, I
yeah.
realize I just like killed everybody with facts. And I'm like, but I'm here to help you. I swear, I will not like call me, talk to me. Proof is in the pudding, but I'm not going to try you sell you anything you don't need. And like I said, I don't have to try to sell you anything. Just
I
call and
mean,
talk.
these are all great solutions, but you don't have to have them all. You don't have to
No,
feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I have
no,
to have all of these.
define your use cases.
Let's find
Define your,
out. Yeah, what's
yeah.
the best one to start with? That's going to be different for everybody. And you know your tenants, you know your property, you know your budget, all kinds of things that have to come into play with this. You even mentioned where the unit is located, right? That's going to determine whether or not you can charge for how much you can charge for this bulk Wi-Fi, for example. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but I love that we have sort of like at least a good list of pieces of technology that are being implemented and are useful and can drive revenue. Um, I mean, these are
And
really
cost
great.
savings and cost
Yeah,
savings. And like I said,
that too.
tenant experience, staff retention. And I know all of that sounds pie
Hmm.
in the skies. That sounds blue sky, right? That sounds blue sky. But I'm telling you, like, I've got the data to back all of this up.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah. And times are, I finally feel like we've reached an inflection point. Real estate moves notoriously slowly, but I think we're reaching that inflection point now where it's time people are starting to put a focus on this, but they really want stuff. They want technology that is truly brings them value, right? That's the magic bullet, right? Is what am I actually going to see value out of? I've been burned, I've installed stuff. It's like I said, it's made things worse, not better. Like, let us help you. I
Yes. Let's do it with guidance. I do want to show this. I think, Chris, this might be the first time you're seeing this. This is Chris's article in our latest issue of Rent magazine. I'm going to send this all to you guys tomorrow. We have some really great articles this issue. We put this out quarterly. I interviewed Chris, and basically, a lot of what we talked about today is in here. And it really goes through, what are some of these important takeaways, and what are the challenges for small to mid-sized landlords, right? Like, most things. These things usually start with big companies implementing them, and then as technology matures, they come up with solutions that are more affordable and usable by smaller and mid-sized landlords. And so this is all something that we can implement now, which is fantastic because that wasn't the case, I would say,
well,
even a few years ago.
and what's interesting is at the show I'm at now, like I said, there are companies that are implementing specifically for mid market. They're not interested in going after the whales. They're going after the blue ocean and not the red ocean. They see that the mid market is
Yeah,
valuable, right? And so they're
absolutely.
designing for that. And a lot of my quick hits are those are specifically targeted not at the gray stars or the Avalon Bays or name one, right?
Those
They're
huge
targeted
properties.
at the
Yeah.
people on this call.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you went through this with us and showed us what's possible. I'm going to put up one last poll question. This is for our rental housing conference. If you do want free tickets, I'd be happy to add you to my guest list. So go ahead and say there, yes, if you want to attend from home or if you want to come in person to Long Beach, I'll be there. Our whole staff will be there. So we'll be excited to see you there. I'll leave that up for a second while I close out. So, Chris, this was fantastic. I'm going to share. The recording, your information for a free consult, the chat, the really, PowerPoint, everything that you've provided, I think is helpful. And then absolutely, I would encourage all of you to reach out to Chris, and she's very generous with her time. I don't know how she does it, but we definitely need an expert if we're planning to do this and kind of technology. And I think even if you're not planning to do it anytime soon, it's never too soon to prepare and see what is possible out there. You might be missing out on opportunities
Yeah,
if
it's never
you know.
it's never too soon. It's
Hmm.
never too soon. And if you email me, at the bottom of my SIG, there's a book a meeting link. So I'll email you back. You can
Okay,
also
great.
are you giving them my phone number, Alexandra?
Yeah, I mean, I can give them whatever information you'd like
You
me to
can give them
share.
my phone number.
Okay.
You can text me. I'm a big texter. My daughter my 20-year-old makes fun of me. But yeah, I just would love
Okay.
I love talking about this stuff. I hope it's apparent that I'm passionate about it. So yeah, hit me up.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. And please tune in next time. I will be in touch soon. Thank you, Chris, as well. That was very enlightening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.